I drove my husband's new Tesla to the airport to pick someone up. I connected to Bluetooth, intending to play some music, but a memo popped up on the central control screen instead. The title was Precautions for Feeding Little Kittens. The kitten likes strawberry-flavored candy, not mint. The kitten needs to be held while sleeping, otherwise she'll cry. When the kitten is on her period, I need to buy her painkillers and brown sugar water in advance. I read through them one by one, until the last one, written in bold red letters, said, "Remember, next month, take the kitten for a prenatal checkup." I expressionlessly closed the memo and dialed my husband's number. "Honey, what brand of painkiller does your little kitten like? I can pick some up for you on my way." Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. On the other end of the line, my husband. Bennett's voice paused for a second. "Wife. What nonsense are you talking about?" His voice was still that steady, gentle tone I had heard for 5 years. "What kitten? I don't understand." He chuckled softly, a hint of doting helplessness in his voice. "My little kitten, isn't it just you?" I gripped the steering wheel, watching the traffic ahead, and smiled. "The one you wrote in your memo, the little kitten that needs a prenatal checkup." His tone instantly lightened, with a hint of sudden realization. "Oh, that's Alex's little female cat. She's pregnant." His own phone broke, so yesterday he borrowed mine to jot some things down. He thought he deleted it, but it turns out it was still there. What a great excuse. Alex is his best friend and was the best man at our wedding. He thought I would definitely believe him. He's just so forgetful. I'll have to talk to him later. Tell him not to put everything on my phone and make you misunderstand. "My dear, is that so?" I asked softly. "Then Alex is really good to his cat, even remembering her prenatal checkups." Bennett followed my lead. "Exactly. I'm jealous. Wife, don't overthink it. You're the only one for me. What do you want for dinner tonight? I'll prepare it in advance." "No need, I've got a client meeting, so I'll be out tonight." I hung up the phone, pulled the car over to the side of the road, and took a picture of the memo. Less than half an hour later, Bennett returned home. As soon as he walked in, he embraced me from behind, resting his chin in the crook of my neck, still carrying the slight chill from outside. "Wife, I still couldn't shake the worry, so I rescheduled with the client and came back." He cupped my face, his eyes filled with sincerity and tenderness. "Have I been too busy lately, neglecting you, making you feel so insecure? When I heard your voice on the phone, and you sounded upset, my heart sank. Work is not as important as you are. It's all my fault." He attributed all the problems to himself, taking all the responsibility, making me seem like an unreasonable lunatic. Looking at the face that once made my heart flutter, my heart was filled with bitterness. "No, maybe I'm just too sensitive." He visibly breathed a sigh of relief. "Silly girl." He playfully tapped my nose. "All right, let's not think about this anymore. I'll go make dinner." He took off his suit and casually draped it over the sofa. I watched him walk into the kitchen, then picked up his suit jacket to hang it properly. From the pocket, a folded receipt slipped out. I unfolded it and saw it was a receipt from a high-end mother and baby store, a long list of items, from imported milk powder to custom-made cribs, all for a child. At the very bottom, the handwritten delivery address. It wasn't our house, nor was it his friend's, Alex's. I clutched the receipt and dialed my best friend, Ethel. She was a top-notch private investigator, with a wild streak. "Ethel, I have an address. Could you help me verify the resident's information and see if she has any connection to Bennett?" Over the next few days, Bennett was incredibly good to me. Good morning kisses, good night hugs, personally driving me to and from work, and taking care of all the housework. He acted like a good husband who, still shaken by a near misunderstanding, was desperately trying to make amends. On Wednesday evening, my mother-in-law called. She started with a few perfunctory greetings, then changed the subject. "Jennifer, you and Bennett have been married for 5 years now. Why haven't you had any children yet? Men, they all love children. You really need to put some effort into this. Our Bennett is successful in his career and devoted to his family. You really need to hold on to him tightly." Every word was like a needle, not painful, but pricking. I perfunctorily hung up the phone. Bennett came out of the kitchen with a plate of sliced fruit and sat down next to me. "Is my mom pressuring us to have kids again?" I nodded. He sighed and pulled me into his embrace. "Don't mind her. We'll just let nature take its course. Whether we have children or not, I'll always love you." He said it so beautifully. Leaning against him, all I could smell was the stench of decaying lies. On Friday, Ethel's call came. Found her. Her voice was cold. "The person living there is named Hannah, 22 years old, and just joined Bennett Company 2 months ago. She's innocent looking, sweet talks, and knows how to get things done. Most importantly, I found an appointment record from a private obstetrics and gynecology hospital. The appointment was made by Bennett, for the expectant mother Hannah. My heart ached so much I couldn't breathe." Ethel sneered. It gets even more disgusting. I hacked into her social media account. She had it set to private for only certain people. It was full of her and Bennett's daily life as a couple. I hung up the phone and clicked on the screenshot Ethel had sent me. Hannah's account name was Spoiled Kitty. Her latest post was from 3 days ago. Mr. B says I'm his most precious treasure, and is going to give me and the baby a home. At next month's family dinner, he's going to give me a surprise. The accompanying picture showed a luxurious jewelry box, inside which lay a diamond necklace I had never seen before, and the brand of that jewelry box, Bennett, had told me just last week that he had given a small gift to an important female client. Scrolled down. My period. My stomach hurts so much. Mr. B came in the middle of the night to bring me brown sugar water and painkillers, and even held me while I slept. He said he would never let me hurt again. The accompanying picture shows Bennett's profile, deep in sleep, one hand still resting on Hannah's waist. The photo was taken in our guest bedroom. The room I specifically set aside for him to sleep in when he worked late and didn't want to disturb me. Scroll down further. Mr. B has excellent taste. This white Tesla is so beautiful. He said it's the stroller he got for our baby Tilda. The accompanying picture showed her in the passenger seat, flashing a peace sign at the central console screen. On the screen was the very memo I had seen. My phone slipped from my trembling hand, crashing to the floor. I curled up on the sofa, all the strength drained from my body in an instant. 10 years. 10 years from school uniform to wedding dress. The sweet nothings he whispered to me, the things he did for me, now turned into sharp blades, repeatedly torturing my mind. He said he loved me, yet he held another woman in our home. He said he was busy with work, but he went to deliver brown sugar water to another woman in the middle of the night. He said he'd let nature take its course with children, but he'd already gotten someone else pregnant with his seed. I felt sick to my stomach, rushed into the bathroom, and vomited until there was nothing left but bile. Why? What did I do wrong? Bennett, how could you do this to me? My heart felt as if it had been ripped open, the pain so intense I couldn't breathe. I crouched on the ground, sobbing uncontrollably, but as I cried and cried, I suddenly started to laugh. I stood up and wiped away my tears. Pain couldn't break him, and my tears were utterly worthless. Bennett, don't you want a home? All right, then I'll help you this once. Bennett pushed the door open and came in. Seeing my appearance, his face changed. Wife, what's wrong? You look terrible. He hurried over and reached out to feel my forehead. I looked up, my eyes red, and stared at him. Bennett, I think I'm sick. He froze, his face a perfect blend of worry and concern. Where does it hurt? We're going to the hospital right now, he said, reaching for his car keys. No need. I stopped him. My chest hurts. Bennett's movements halted. He crouched down, took my hand, his face filled with self-reproach. It's all my fault. I've been so focused on work lately. I haven't taken good care of you. Wife, listen to me. Work isn't important. Nothing is important. Your health is the most important thing. I'll ask for leave from work tomorrow. How about we go to the Maldives? Haven't you always wanted to go? It was as if all my discomfort was merely due to his negligence, not his betrayal. I looked at him and suddenly smiled. Okay, as you wish. Next month's family banquet is his mother's 60th birthday. The Armstrong family is quite prominent locally, so the birthday banquet was exceptionally grand. Occupying the entire ballroom on the hotel's top floor, Bennett, as the most favored son, was naturally the center of attention. He was dressed in a tailored white suit, his posture erect, moving effortlessly among the guests. My mother-in-law, adorned with jewels, stood beside him, her smile impossible to hide. Jennifer, come here. My mother-in-law beckoned to me. I walked over, and she pulled me aside, lowering her voice. Everyone here today is someone important. So don't you dare give me that sour face. Anyone who doesn't know might think our Armstrong family has mistreated you. And also, your belly better get with the program. Let me tell you, our Bennett is excellent, and there are plenty of young girls out there who want to bear his children. If you can't produce an heir, then step aside sooner rather than later. Don't hog the latrine without doing your business. Her words were venomous and cutting. I watched her, expressionless, saying nothing. She was about to say more when Bennett walked over. Mom, what are you saying to Jennifer? He naturally put his arm around my waist and smiled at my mother-in-law. Jennifer isn't feeling well today. I told her to talk less and rest more. He was always like this, always defending me in front of others, giving me the utmost respect. My mother-in-law pursed her lips and turned to greet other guests. Bennett leaned down and kissed my forehead. Don't mind my mom. She's all bark and no bite. I smiled, my gaze drifting over his shoulder to a familiar figure. Hannah was wearing a light pink maternity gown with a white Chanel jacket over it. Her long hair cascaded over her shoulders. Her makeup was exquisite, and a shy yet happy smile graced her face. Her hand unconsciously protected her lower abdomen. She stood not far away, next to a friend of Bennett's, appearing to be his companion. Bennett's gaze also fell upon her. It lasted only a second before he withdrew it, but the tenderness and affection in that glance were crystal clear to me. Halfway through the banquet, it was time for the presentation of gifts. Bennett, as the son, was naturally the first. He walked onto the stage and picked up the microphone. Today is my mother's 60th birthday, and as her son, I haven't prepared any special gifts. He paused, his gaze sweeping across the room, finally settling on me. I just wanted to tell you. You're going to be a grandmother very soon. The entire hall fell silent for a moment, then erupted in thunderous applause and congratulations. Congratulations, Mr. Bennett, Mrs. Armstrong, what good fortune. My mother-in-law gasped in surprise, her eyes instantly welling up. She hurried onto the stage and excitedly grabbed Bennett's hand. Bennett, are you serious, Jennifer? She spun around to look at me, her eyes filled with an unprecedented fervor and ecstasy. I stood rooted to the spot, like an outsider. Meanwhile, Hannah stood in the crowd, her hand resting on her stomach, a triumphant smile on her face. Bennett did not answer his mother, he just smiled, holding the microphone, and continued, this child was hard won. Therefore, today, at my mother's birthday banquet, I wish to announce something else. His gaze finally shifted from my face, becoming cold and resolute. I, Bennett, will be dissolving my marriage with Ms. Jennifer. The entire hall erupted in uproar. The guests buzzed with discussion. What? Divorce? So the child isn't hers? Oh my God, what is going on? Announcing a divorce in public. My mother-in-law's face also changed. She pulled Bennett, and said anxiously, Bennett, what nonsense are you talking about? Bennett shook off her hand, his voice as cold as ice. I'm not talking nonsense. Jennifer and I are incompatible. Our relationship has long since broken down. For years. She refused to have children with me, citing various reasons. I tolerated it repeatedly out of consideration for our many years as husband and wife, until I met a girl who was willing to give everything for me, willing to bear my children. He turned and extended his hand toward Hannah. Hannah, come up. Hannah, tears streaming down her face, in the midst of a deathly silence, lifted her skirt and walked onto the stage. Step by step, she walked to Bennett's side. And he pulled her into his embrace. Bennett lowered his head and tenderly kissed away the tears from the corners of her eyes. I'm sorry, baby, I've wronged you. Then, he lifted his head and looked at me like a judge. Jennifer, for the sake of our marriage, if you leave now, we can part ways amicably. I will give you enough compensation to live comfortably for the rest of your life. If you insist on making a scene, you'll only end up embarrassing yourself. He had everything calculated. In such a setting, in such a manner, he would cast me into hell. He wanted everyone to know that it was I, Jennifer, who couldn't bear children, yet clung to the position of Mrs. Lou, and he was just an innocent man, seeking true love and longing for a family. I looked at the perfect couple on stage, and then at my mother-in-law's face in the audience, which shifted from ecstasy to bewilderment, and finally to disgust. I smiled. Step by step, I walked onto the stage. I took the other microphone from the MC's hand. All the camera flashes instantly turned to me. Bennett's face darkened. Jennifer, what else do you want? Haven't you caused enough embarrassment? Hannah cowered in his arms, trembling like a frightened little rabbit. Sister, I know you hate me, but matters of the heart cannot be forced. Please, I beg you, let us be together. The child is innocent. She acted with such passion and pathos, utterly pitiful. I looked at her and smiled. Miss Hannah, don't be so quick to call me sister. Legally speaking, I, Jennifer, am still Bennett's rightful wife. Our divorce agreement hasn't been signed yet. So you are the third party who interfered in our marriage. The child in your belly is illegitimate. Hannah's face instantly went pale. A flicker of rage crossed Bennett's eyes. He stepped forward, trying to snatch the microphone from me. I took a step back, evading him. Bennett, did you just say I couldn't have children? My voice, amplified by the microphone, clearly reached every corner of the venue. You said you chose to divorce me and chose this Ms. Hannah because you wanted a child. Yes, Bennett said through gritted teeth. What man doesn't want his own child? If you can't give it to me, then naturally someone else can. Well said, I nodded. Then turned to look at the large screen behind me. There, photos of my mother-in-law, elegant and graceful, had been playing on a loop. I pressed the remote control in my hand. The photos on the screen instantly switched. A diagnostic report I had prepared earlier clearly appeared before everyone. The report showed he suffered from severe teratozoospermia. The probability of infertility was 99%. The entire banquet hall fell silent. Bennett's face drained of all color in an instant. He stood frozen, staring intently at the report on the screen that had shredded all his dignity. He finally reacted, roaring, "No, it's fake. This is a forgery. Jennifer, You venomous woman. To get back at me, you actually forged something like this to slander me." He lunged at me, his face contorted in a snarl, but his friends held him back tightly. My mother-in-law was also stunned. She pointed a trembling finger at the screen, then at me, her lips opening and closing, but not a single word came out. "Forged." I looked at him coldly. "Bennett, this report was done last year at Peking Union Medical College Hospital. The attending physician is the most authoritative urologist in the country. The authenticity of the report can be verified at any time. It has the hospital's official seal and the expert's personal signature. I even have a copy here, for the past 2 years, who has been by your side, traveling to all the best hospitals in the country, who, for the sake of your pathetic self-esteem, took all the blame upon themselves, telling everyone it was my fault, who was with you, enduring those terribly bitter traditional Chinese medicines, and accompanying you through one painful examination after another. It's me, Jennifer." My voice grew louder, carrying the resentment and anger that had been suppressed for too long. "And you took the prescription I found for you and then turned around to deceive another woman. You told her it was my fault. You made her believe that if she carried your child, she could leverage that to marry into a wealthy family." My gaze turned to Hannah, whose face had long since drained of color. "Ms. Hannah, do you really believe the child in your womb is Bennett's?" Hannah's body swayed, and she almost lost her footing. She looked at Bennett in disbelief, then back at the report on the screen, her eyes filled with fear and confusion. "Bennett, is what she's saying true?" Bennett's body was trembling, sweat soaking his expensive suit. He couldn't utter a single word, because that report was real. The diagnosis that rendered him infertile was real. He was the one, the chicken that couldn't lay eggs. "Impossible. This is impossible," Hannah muttered to herself, gripping Bennett's arm tightly, her nails digging deep into his flesh. "Bennett, tell me, this isn't real. You said you were fine. You said we could have lots and lots of babies." Her voice became shrill and piercing. Completely out of control, Bennett was being shaken by her, his eyes hollow, like a puppet from which the soul had been drawn. Just then, a strange middle-aged man suddenly rose from the guest seats and walked onto the stage, his face ashen. He walked straight up to Hannah and slapped her hard across the face with the back of his hand. "You shameless hussy. I invited you to this banquet to seduce other people's husbands and get pregnant with a bastard. Did I?" The man trembled with rage, pointing at Hannah and cursing her vehemently. "You've completely disgraced me." Hannah was stunned by the blow, covering her face and crying out, "Dad!" The entire hall erupted in uproar. So this was Hannah's father. Someone in Bennett's circle of friends recognized him. "Isn't this Hannah's father, the real estate guy? I heard his capital chain broke recently, and he's looking for investments everywhere. So, he's here to sell his daughter. TSK, what a grand show." Hannah's father's face flushed red as he pointed at Bennett and cursed. "And you swindler, you deceived my daughter, saying you'd marry her, saying you'd invest in my company. But it turns out you're just a useless good-for-nothing who can't even have children. None of you Armstrongs are any good." He rushed forward and wrestled with Bennett. My mother-in-law finally couldn't bear the immense shock. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted straight away. The banquet hall was in chaos. Bodyguards, MCs, friends, and family all surged forward. Cries, curses, and screams rose and fell. The once illustrious Armstrong family was now a colossal joke. As for me, I simply stood quietly in the corner of the stage, coldly observing this farce that I had personally orchestrated. I pressed the next button on the remote control. On the big screen, the infertility report disappeared. In its place was a will, accompanied by a lawyer's letter. "This document, gentlemen, might be of more interest to you than to me." Everyone froze, looking at me, then at the big screen. "This is the will of the founder of the Armstrong family group, which is Bennett's grandfather. It clearly states in black and white that the eldest grandson, Bennett, must have an heir before the age of 35 to inherit 51% of the group's absolute controlling stake. If this is not fulfilled by the deadline, all shares will automatically transfer to the family trust fund, to be managed by professional managers, and Bennett's 35th birthday is next month." Bennett's father, upon seeing the will, shot up from his chair, his face ashen. He had thought the scheme, designed to save their family business, was flawless. "Bennett, you desperately want a child, not because you particularly like children. It's because without this child, you, and your family, will lose the entire Armstrong group. You used my love, making me take the blame for your infertility to stabilize your family internally. At the same time, you were looking for a surrogate outside to have a son, bring him back, and register him under my name, so you could secretly fulfill the inheritance conditions." My gaze fell upon Hannah's father, who was already scared stiff. "Hannah's father, Bennett, has agreed to invest in your company. The precondition is that your daughter bears him a child, a grandson who can inherit his family's legacy." Right, by then, the child will be the heir to the Armstrong family, and your company's crisis will be resolved. Killing two birds with one stone. What a clever scheme. Hannah's father's face turned from red to white, then from white to green, and finally to a deathly grey. He opened his mouth. But no words came out, because every word I spoke was true. A dirty deal, trading a woman's womb and a child's future for profit. Hannah broke down in tears. She finally understood that, from beginning to end, she was merely a reproductive tool used to gain benefits, and the child in her belly was just a carefully calculated bargaining chip. Bennett, you lied to me. Your whole family lied to me, she shrieked, rushing towards Bennett recklessly, using all her strength to grab and hit him. Bennett let her vent, his eyes filled with nothing but hollow despair. The birthday banquet ended on a sour note. The next day, the Armstrong family's scandal spread throughout the city. Armstrong family's heir is infertile, staged a shocking surrogacy scam to seize family fortune. All sorts of rumors became the talk of everyone's after-dinner conversations. The Armstrong family's company, due to a huge dispute over inheritance and an uncertain future, saw its stock price hit the daily limit as soon as the market opened. Countless partners sent termination letters, and banks came knocking to collect debts. The commercial empire, which had stood for many years, was on the verge of collapse overnight. Hannah's father's company, unable to secure the Armstrong family's investment, declared bankruptcy directly. He himself was taken away by the police for investigation on suspicion of commercial fraud. Hannah went to the hospital for an abortion. Then, she took all the evidence and sued Bennett in court for fraud and intentional injury. My mother-in-law hasn't woken up since she fainted at the birthday banquet. The doctor said it was an acute cerebral hemorrhage, and she might have to spend the rest of her life in bed. Bennett's father, due to the exposure of his meticulously planned scam, his company teetering on the brink of bankruptcy, was also rushed to the hospital, overwhelmed by anxiety. The once glorious Armstrong family was completely finished. Bennett had called and messaged me countless times, from curses at first, to threats later, and finally to desperate pleas. Jennifer, I was wrong, I truly was. Will you come back? If you just come back, I'll give you anything. Let's start over. I swear I'll never lie to you again. Please, save me, save my family. I didn't reply to a single one. I just blocked all his contact information. The divorce proceedings between him and me went exceptionally smoothly. His assets, due to company bankruptcy and various lawsuits, had long been frozen and seized. I didn't ask him for a single penny. I just wanted to quickly and completely extricate myself from his decaying life. The day the paperwork was finalized, I saw him for the last time at the entrance of the Civil Affairs Bureau. In just half a month, he looked as if he had aged 20 years. His hair was streaked with gray. His eyes were cloudy, and the once crisp suit he wore was now wrinkled. He saw me and tried to reach out for me. Jennifer, I took a step back, avoiding him. Don't touch me. My voice was devoid of any warmth. Bennett, your biggest mistake wasn't cheating, or lying to me. It's you, who has never loved anyone, including yourself. You only love your pride, your interests, and your hypocritically perfect life. He stood frozen, watching me, tears streaming down his face. I didn't spare him another glance, turned, and hailed a taxi to leave. In the rearview mirror, his figure grew smaller and smaller, until finally, it became a blurry black dot. A year later, using the savings I had accumulated before my divorce, I took over an old house with a courtyard on an ancient waterside street in South and opened a tea house. The century-old ginkgo tree in the courtyard was the main reason I kept the place. In autumn, the tree is covered in golden leaves. Beautiful as a painting. That afternoon, the sun was just right, and I was sitting in the rocking chair in the yard, reading a leisurely book. A lady in a cheongsam, a noblewoman, swayed in, her face adorned with a hypocritical smile I knew all too well. She was one of the ladies from my former mother-in-law's card games, who used to look at me with such pity. Oh my, isn't this Jennifer? I never imagined you'd open such an elegant tea house here. She looked around, her eyes betraying an undeniable shrewdness. I hear you're quite close with the owner of that land south of the city now. You see, my son's company recently wanted to. I didn't wait for her to finish, cutting her off coolly. Ms. Mona, here we only discuss tea, not business. I called the tea master over. Edison, show her out. Ms. Mona's face alternated between green and white, and she left resentfully. I watched her retreating figure, my heart completely unmoved. Ethel's call came through. Big boss, busy counting money. She laughed on the other end of the phone. Busy sunbathing. I laughed too. Ethel's tone turned gleeful. Let me tell you some gossip. Bennett, he was sentenced a few days ago, 5 years for fraud. I heard he's not doing well in there. That pretty boy face of his attracts too much hatred. He had his leg broken as soon as he got in. His dad didn't make it. He passed away last month. His mom is still in the nursing home. completely demented. Every day she hugs a pillow, calling it her dear grandson, and tells everyone her daughter-in-law is you. It's truly ironic. As for that Hannah, I heard she took the last bit of money she could squeeze out of her dad. She got plastic surgery, changed her identity, and married abroad. I listened quietly, not a ripple in my heart. Those people, those events, felt like stories from a past life, no longer connected to me. Ethel softly asked from the other end, Jennifer, do you regret it, destroying them in that way? I watched the leaves of the old ginkgo tree in the yard, shimmering golden in the sunlight. Why should I regret it? I said, I'm not ruining them. I'm just taking back the life that should have been mine. After hanging up, I put down my book and got up to prune a thriving rose bush. Edison walked over. He was my new tea master, a young man in a clean white shirt, with gentle eyes and excellent calligraphy. He handed me a freshly brewed cup of Biluochun tea. Boss, have a taste. I took the teacup. The tea's aroma was elegant, and its taste was mellow and sweet. He looked at the ginkgo tree in the courtyard and said softly, this tree, having weathered the elements, its leaves have turned such a beautiful yellow. His gaze shifted to me, a gentle smile on his face. I paused, then smiled back. Edison was right. Wind and frost are the best dyes. Business at Juyun gradually slowed down after winter set in, but I quite enjoyed the tranquility, until that black minivan pulled up on the cobblestone road at the end of the old street. The car door opened, and out stepped a woman in a Chanel suit, her high heels clicking as she gracefully approached. She was wearing sunglasses, but I recognized her instantly. Or rather, recognized the face that, despite being meticulously sculpted, still retained a few shadows of its former self. Hannah. She sat down opposite me, took off her sunglasses, revealing a pair of emotionless eyes. Her voice was a little hoarse. Jennifer, long time no see. I poured her a cup of ordinary marrowfoam tea. What's up? She picked up the teacup but didn't drink, merely tracing the rim with her fingertips. I'm getting married next week, moving to Singapore. My fiancé's family is very wealthy, and he treats me very well. I lowered my eyes and continued to arrange my tea set. Congratulations. She suddenly smiled, and there was an indescribable eeriness in that smile. Aren't you curious why I came to find you? I didn't speak, waiting for her to continue. She leaned forward, her voice barely a whisper. Let me tell you a secret. That child, I didn't abort it. My hand, wiping the teacup, froze. The smile on her face widened. Carrying a morbid pleasure, I lied to everyone. I gave birth to the child. It's a boy. I sold him to a wealthy merchant couple who had always wanted children, and in return, I got a large sum of money. With that money, I bought this face, a new identity, and everything I have now. I looked up, silently watching her. She seemed pleased with my reaction and continued. Everyone thought I was a victim, a poor wretch, but I'm not, from the very beginning. I knew Bennett couldn't have children. The entire tea room fell into a deathly silence. I finally understood the purpose of her visit today. She wasn't here to boast, nor to confess. She was here to contaminate me. She was here to tell me that the quagmire I had fought so hard to escape, she not only hadn't fled, but was wallowing in it, and living very well. She was here to use her degradation to prove that my persistence and purity were a joke. She dropped her smile, her eyes turning venomous. Do you think you've won, Jennifer? You and I, we are the same. We both used that unborn child. You used him for revenge. I used him for money. Don't think too highly of yourself. Edison had walked over at some point, standing quietly beside me. I looked at Hannah's distorted face and suddenly smiled. You sold out your own child, your womb, your future, and I merely reclaimed what was rightfully mine. Hannah, you've never considered yourself human. So you believe everyone lives like an animal. Her face instantly went ashen. I stood up and said to Edison, the tea's cold. Take care. I won't see you out. Edison stepped forward, making a pleased gesture towards her, his expression cool and devoid of emotion. Hannah glared at me. After a long moment, she grabbed her bag and turned to leave in a flurry. I watched her figure disappear around the street corner, letting out a long breath. Edison brewed me another pot of tea, a calming puer. He didn't ask anything, simply pushed a warm cup of tea towards me. He looked at the ginkgo leaves falling outside the window and said softly, Boss, it's getting cold. Time to add new charcoal. I held the warm teacup, looking at his clean, gentle profile, and nodded. Okay. Outside the window, dusk was falling over south. Inside the room, there was the warm glow of charcoal and the fragrance of tea. Those people, those events, they are finally in the past. It's time to add new coals to the fire of my life. The end. Story 2. On my birthday, I found a hidden playlist on Harvey's phone. It was titled, Lost. He had set the cover image to a photo of his ex-girlfriend. He had lost the girl he loved most. In the 3 years with me, Harvey never forgot her. And I was more like a pastime for his loneliness. It was compromise, and it was habit. In front of me, Harvey deleted the playlist, his tone indifferent. Are you satisfied now? I don't speak. Harvey perfunctorily reached out and ruffled my head. That's about enough. Sandra, be a good girl. I'll take you home to meet my parents for New Year's. Okay, but Harvey, I'm going home to get married for New Year's. He saw my blank expression. Harvey's lips curved into a playful smile, and he flicked my forehead with his finger. Why aren't you speaking? Are you dumbfounded with happiness? We'd been together for 3 years, and he rarely even introduced me to his friends, let alone met his parents. I was truly surprised, and it took me a moment to speak. I've already told my parents that for Chinese New Year, they set me up on a blind date. Then don't go, Harvey interrupted casually. He was always like that, never interested in anything about me, and never patient enough to listen. Perhaps my reaction didn't align with his expectations, making him a bit displeased. He routinely wished me a happy birthday. Harvey grabbed his coat and stood up. Not even touching the cake. I'm leaving first, I hummed in response. I didn't cling to him and beg him to stay longer, as I usually would. Harvey paused slightly at the doorway, then turned to look at me. I had already clasped my hands together and closed my eyes. Making a wish, he slammed the door shut. With a loud bang, there came an exceptionally long silence. My heart felt a bit empty, but it was okay. I wasn't sad. The sky slowly darkened. I looked at myself in the mirror, at my flawless makeup and carefully chosen outfit, and didn't want to let it go to waste. Meeting up with my best friend at a newly opened little pub nearby, after a few rounds of drinks, she said to me earnestly, "You know, Wanda is coming here." The name hit me like a heavy blow to the chest. Wanda. Harvey is the ex-girlfriend he couldn't forget for 5 years. We fought, gave each other the silent treatment, and broke up countless times because of her. She didn't even need to show up in person. Her mere existence was like a thorn, piercing me until I bled. Harvey said matching profile pictures were childish, yet he used them with Wanda. Harvey doesn't like to show affection publicly, but his past social media background and signature were all about that girl. The stars we watched together on the university playground, they had already seen them together in high school. The meals he cooked for me were actually flavored to her liking. He found it troublesome to pick me up at the high-speed rail station, yet he used to be willing to take 6 extra bus stops every day just to see her home. I pieced together their past from every single clue. Time and again, I fell into internal conflict and self-doubt. Was it because I wasn't good enough, or not pretty enough? Not presentable? Is that why he treated me this way? Across from me, my best friend looked at me with concern. Just about today, I heard Harvey went to the airport to pick her up. My James originally wanted me to keep it from you, so you two wouldn't fight again. My best friend and Harvey's brother are also a couple. Their relationship was stable. They were already talking about marriage. Sandra, what are you going to do? Are you just going to keep wasting your time? I told you long ago that you two weren't a good match. You're such a catch. Why would you throw yourself at a man who doesn't love you? I lowered my gaze and drank my wine. What else could it be? Just unwilling to let go. But this time, no matter how unwilling, it's time to move on. There was no grand announcement of a breakup. Just slowly withdrawing, detaching from this relationship, all on my own. The real departure is truly silent. In the early hours of the morning, my best friend was picked up by her partner. Oh my little darling, how did you get so drunk? By the way, sis, are you okay alone? Otherwise, I smiled and waved my hand, not catching what was said next. As a wave of nausea churned in my stomach, I used to envy their relationship, wondering why Harvey and I couldn't be that sweet. Why? It's simply because he doesn't like me that much. Harvey himself said that he wasn't interested in my type, the kind who's clingy and likes to act spoiled. But he still got together with me. I thought I was special, but it turned out he was just lonely. I don't know how much time had passed. A familiar voice that shouldn't be here came through. I lifted my head. In my blurred vision, Harvey was supporting an intellectual beauty in a trench coat and high heels. Wanda, wait for me a moment. I need to pick someone up. I crouched by the roadside, quietly watching Harvey carefully steady her, then take out his phone and dial a number. The next second, my phone rang. He looked over at the sound, his expression unreadable in the dim night. Our gazes met and held for a long moment. I didn't throw myself into his arms and act spoiled like I usually did when I was drunk. Instead, he was the first to speak, calling my name. Sandra, do you have anything to tell me? I thought for a moment. No. Harvey walked closer, looking down at me. I then noticed his brow furrowed, wondering what he was unhappy about. Then let's go. Harvey pulled me into the car, expressionless. Other than that, he didn't say a word. They also didn't care why I was drinking so much, nor did I question him about who the woman beside him was. The atmosphere in the entire car was eerily silent. Wanda observed me through the rearview mirror, her cheeks flushed with just the right amount of tipsiness. Harvey, I'm feeling a little dizzy. Harvey rolled down the car window for some air, his voice helpless. yet with a tenderness I had never heard before. "You can't hold your liquor, yet you still try to act tough." Wanda smiled, her words hinting at something more. "My mood's good today, so what's wrong with a little drink? We haven't seen each other in so long, and you still love to boss me around." They were high school classmates, both from the same hometown. After graduating, they were together for less than 3 months before breaking up due to the long distance of university. The first time I became aware of Wanda's existence was when I discovered Harvey's password was her name's abbreviation. He said he forgot to change it. Initially, I didn't give it much thought. Who doesn't have a past? An ex-girlfriend from a relationship that only lasted 3 months. When he was with me, they had already broken up for 2 years. I didn't think I would lose to her. But actually, the moment my subconscious started comparing myself to her, I had already lost. They chatted back and forth about the old days, while I sat in the back like an invisible person. The wind howled as it rushed in. Outside the window, the all-too-familiar street scenes receded into the distance. We passed by Wanda Plaza, where the cinema's advertisement sign was still lit up. Harvey and I watched our first movie together right here. I remember being so drowsy in the car after the show that my hand, hanging limply by my side, accidentally brushed against his. Harvey thought I had fallen asleep and secretly held my hand the whole way. My heart raced the entire time. My mind, muddled as paste, flashed with many fragmented memories. It was all during the ambiguous period before the relationship was confirmed. Back when I loved Harvey the most, I always thought, if only I had met him first. Later, when I was hurt the deepest, I thought again, if only I had never met him at all. Now, I don't want to think about anything anymore. When I hazily opened my eyes, I realized we had arrived at my doorstep. Wanda was no longer in the car. Harvey held a cigarette between his fingers resting on the car window frame, its ember glowing and fading. "Sandra," he asked me, "is it fun?" I sat up straight, not understanding. "Didn't I spend time with you during the day? Do you have to act like this tonight?" Harvey spoke in a low voice, suppressing an unknown anger. I don't know what he's angry about. After thinking it over, it must be because I interrupted his long-awaited date with his white moonlight. "I didn't ask you to pick me up." He let out a scornful laugh. "Oh, so you got yourself this drunk just to show off to ghosts?" "I'm not drunk," I said softly. "Even if you hadn't come, someone else would have taken me home." Harvey raised an eyebrow, his tone sarcastic. "Who? Some new guy you just met at the bar?" He looked me up and down. "Sandra, can you please stop being so childish? Dressing like that outside, do you even realize what kind of attention you're inviting? If I hadn't come, you would have ended up being taken advantage of while passed out. If you want me to care about you, can you at least not use such a foolish method?" I used to get myself drunk, just to see a hint of pity for me in his eyes. But now I won't be that foolish. "Harvey, you're overthinking it." Harvey didn't believe it at all, his brows furrowing deeper and deeper. "You know I hate it when girls drink. I don't have the time to coddle you. Maybe the alcohol numbed my nerves, making the pain less acute. Or maybe, I genuinely just don't care anymore. If there's a next time, even if you have James call me, I'll pretend I didn't see it." "Okay." I turned around and steadily went upstairs by myself. The hangover headache made me sleep until the sun was high in the sky the next day. There were several unread messages on my phone. Only Harvey was missing. He rarely initiates messages to me, yet every time my phone rings, I always hope it's him. Later, I simply set his notifications to silent. That way, I won't get my hopes up for nothing. My best friend sent me a screenshot of Wanda's social media post from last night. There's no ambiguous text, just a casually taken photo of the moon. Harvey, who never gives likes to anyone. Harvey instantly liked her post, and commented below, "Good night." The doorbell suddenly rang. Opening the door, she saw Harvey standing outside. I'm a bit dazed, wondering if I'm still not fully awake. "What brings you here?" Perhaps the surprise on my face was too obvious. Harvey curled his lips and reached out to pinch my cheek. "Here, this is for you." I silently looked at the hangover medicine in the bag. He's still like this, hot and cold with me. So hard to figure out, too lazy to bother thinking about the reasons. I took it and politely said thanks. "That's it." Harvey leaned against the doorframe, his dark eyes, which had been smiling, gradually darkened. "Anything else?" I asked. For once, he took the initiative to explain to me. "I went to pick her up yesterday because she doesn't know anyone else in Jingbei." I hummed in agreement. "That's understandable." Harvey stared at my face, as if trying to see right through me. "Sandra, there's no chance for us anymore. We're just friends now. You don't need to be angry with me like this. I've booked a restaurant. I'll take you to dinner later as compensation for your birthday yesterday." I shook my head. "No need, it's all in the past. There's nothing to compensate for. Besides, I have plans today." Harvey looked a little surprised. He clearly hadn't expected me to turn down a chance to go out with him. His face turned cold. "Whatever you want, but I didn't expect such bad timing." Harvey's restaurant reservation was at the same place as mine. Beside me, Wanda blinked and softly asked, "Harvey, why is your girlfriend eating with another man?" Harvey and I exchanged glances in midair, then quickly looked away. He glanced at the man in the suit across from me, seemingly unconcerned. "What does that have to do with me?" Wanda smiled, her words tinged with a hint of pride. "Aren't you jealous? Back then, if I said even one extra word to my male desk mate, you'd wait for him after school to warn him to stay away from me. I called you the East Asian Jealousy King, and you still got upset about it. Only care will make one jealous." Harvey, even if he saw me sharing an umbrella with a male classmate with his own eyes, he wouldn't even frown. This mountain of his has never stirred for me. Yet that night, the long silent profile picture suddenly sent a question mark. "Is that your new flame? Did you really meet at a bar, Sandra? You're quite something." 4 unread messages. Damn it, I typed with my eyes down, and a red exclamation mark popped up. Harvey blocked me, probably because I replied too slowly. He was always impatient with me. Whenever he felt upset, he could start a cold war with me anytime, anywhere, anyway. Almost every time, no matter whose fault it was, I was always the first to compromise. He took advantage of my affection and acted recklessly. There was a party on New Year's Eve, outside the private room. I heard Harvey and James's voices. "What, are you two fighting again, Sandra?" He casually tapped on his phone. "Yeah," James sighed. "Is it really that bad? I think Sandra is actually quite good to you. I know, when Wanda used to give you the cold shoulder, you'd buy a standing room only ticket overnight just to chase after her and coax her. Can't you just?" Before he could finish, Harvey languidly interrupted him. "Are those two even comparable?" A single sentence. The chill in the air filled his lungs. Other boys joined the conversation. "Exactly, Sandra, no matter how pretty, still throws herself at him. Our brother doesn't even need to bother coaxing her. She'll come wagging her tail with just a wave of his hand. Wanda is different. She's so proud, you have to flatter her." I was about to turn and leave. Suddenly, the voice of the other person involved in the conversation rang out from behind me. "What a coincidence. Let's go in together." Wanda familiarly linked her arm through mine and pushed me into the private room. Everyone present who knew the relationship between the three of us widened their eyes and instinctively looked at Harvey. He leaned back in the booth, his expression indifferent. Once everyone had arrived, we started playing Truth or Dare. In the first round, Wanda lost. Question: if an ex comes back wanting to get back together, would you agree? Like a proud swan, she deliberately glanced at Harvey. Of course not. One should always look forward. After all, Harvey remained unresponsive. Only the cold light from the overhead lamp made his face appear even colder. Midway through our game, I went to the restroom. When I came out, Harvey was leaning against the hallway wall, talking on the phone. He called out to his grandma in dialect, his tone low and gentle. It's settled. I'll bring her back for Chinese New Year. She's quite well behaved, very quiet. She might not be used to our food. So I'll make her something not spicy then." I stopped in my tracks. It sounded like it was describing me, but I clearly said I wouldn't go. Harvey cast a faint glance over and put away his phone, probably still waiting for me to take the initiative to strike up a conversation. I thought about it. There really was still a formal conclusion missing between us, so it would be better to clear things up. A sob suddenly came from Wanda's private room. The man, who had been cool and composed all evening, could no longer suppress his concern for her. He rushed in and saw her hand, bleeding from an accidental cut by a broken wine bottle. His tone was urgent. "Come on, I'll take you to the hospital." I calmly called out, "Harvey, I need to talk to you." "Get lost," he growled, looking at me impatiently. "Sandra, don't bother me now. I don't have time to waste on you. Whatever you want to say it later." It was just past midnight. Outside, grand fireworks exploded. I watched Harvey walk away with Wanda, never looking back. "Happy New Year. Congratulations. You finally found the girl you lost. Let's just leave it at that. There's no future for us." The text message sent out sank like a stone. Harvey, whether he saw it or not. "I don't care anymore." Turning around, I boarded the flight home alone. After a week had passed, Harvey seemed to finally remember me. He took me out of his WeChat blacklist and sent me a screenshot of his flight information to his hometown. "I'll pick you up tomorrow afternoon. Don't be late. Sandra, where are you?" I stole a glance at my phone amidst my busy schedule and casually replied, "On a blind date." On the other end, another question mark popped up. The next second, Harvey called. "Sandra, what do you mean?" His voice was low and cold, almost devoid of emotion. I could tell he was displeased at the moment, and I paused. Literally, the other end of the line was silent for a long time. Suddenly, Harvey let out a very soft chuckle. It was as if he had heard something amusing, tinged with a condescending mockery. "All right, Sandra, you've really got some nerve now. So, you're going on a blind date? Huh, go for it. When are you bringing them out for me to meet?" I didn't respond. Harvey's reaction was pretty much what I expected. Indifferent, dismissive. He didn't believe I'd actually go on a blind date, thinking I was just trying to provoke him, to get back at him for abandoning me for Wanda on New Year's Eve. My dear young lady, I advise you to save your breath. That trick won't work on me. Harvey's tone was flat, as if he'd seen right through my little game. My patience is limited. I'll be waiting for you at the airport tomorrow, if you're late. You'll have to deal with the consequences. I mumbled an then you'll be waiting. Then he hung up the phone first. The next afternoon, Harvey probably didn't see me at the airport and called again to confront me. I calmly reminded him, if you didn't see the text I sent earlier, I don't mind repeating it. We are over. Harvey sneered and said mockingly, breaking up again. How many days are you planning to last this time before coming back to beg me? In the past, when I brought up breaking up, it was indeed more out of spite. I just wanted Harvey to try and keep me. I wanted to hear him say that I was the one he liked more now, and that he and Wanda were a thing of the past. Yet he hadn't. Even when you humored me, it was done so casually. This relationship felt like falling into an underwater vortex. Every time I tried to pull myself out with a burst of determination, I only sank deeper. 3 years, not too long, not too short. Now I can finally climb ashore and breathe the fresh air. In the following days, Harvey was unusually quiet. I dragged my cousin along to the mall to help me pick out a gift for Jerry as a meeting present. The Merle family and ours are old neighbors and friends, but they moved overseas a few years ago and haven't been back for a long time. The reason I came back this time is because Uncle Merle's son Jerry has been transferred back to work in the country, so he wanted to introduce him to me. Sandra, I remember you had a boyfriend, didn't you? My cousin glanced at me and asked. I pursed my lips. We broke up. My cousin happened to be on a business trip to Jingbei recently. That night at the bar, if Harvey hadn't come, my cousin would have picked me up. Then we arranged to have a meal, and I didn't expect to run into Harvey and Wanda at the restaurant. When we left, my cousin had a look on his face as if he saw right through everything. The table next door just now. Do you know them? I didn't hide anything. My boyfriend, and his ex-girlfriend. My cousin immediately got angry when he heard that and wanted to go in and beat them up. I quickly pulled him back. Through the restaurant glass, Harvey stared expressionlessly at our tug-of-war. It's good that you broke up. That scoundrel of a man clearly wasn't reliable. My cousin clicked his tongue twice. That Merle family kid is good. Sis, you should really go for him, I sighed. It's just a meeting for dinner. That evening, I gave the carefully chosen cufflink gift to Jerry. He and Harvey were completely different types. His demeanor was more like jade, exuding a cool serenity within its warmth. While waiting for our meal, we exchanged a few brief words. He suddenly asked me, Sandra, would you like me to take a picture for you? Jerry smiled gently. I just think it'd be a shame not to take a picture and remember how beautiful you look. It's okay if you're not used to it. I froze. Of course, I love taking pictures. It's just that before, Harvey never had this kind of patience with me. After I got back, I shared the Jerry photos he took of me on my moments. There was even a picture of us together. Harvey rarely appeared in my comment section. Who's this guy? New person again. And then there was a thumbs up emoji. Passive-aggressive. I pretended not to see it. After finishing my bedtime routine and lying in bed, my best friend video called me. Sandra, what's going on with you and Harvey? Why did he go ask James about your blind date? I was a bit surprised too. In the past, it was always me asking them for information about Harvey. But Harvey had never asked them about me before. Maybe he doesn't believe what I say, but he trusts what you all say. I leaned against the headboard, my expression calm. Don't even mention it. He doesn't believe what we said, insisting that I conspired with you. My best friend shook her head helplessly. It's really strange. He never cared about you before, so why does he start caring after the breakup? I smiled. It's not about caring, just pure displeasure. I still know Harvey pretty well. He just feels like I've slipped out of his control now. It's just a temporary adjustment. Sure enough, a few days later, my best friend sent me another video. It was Harvey and Wanda at KTV, sitting incredibly close, as if they were about to kiss any second. My best friend complained, that woman is such a green tea bitch. She actually talked bad about you in front of Harvey. What did she say about me? She said you moved on seamlessly after the breakup, dating different men. Then she said that after breaking up with Harvey, she's been busy with her studies and work, with no time for a new relationship. It sounds like she's implying she's been saving herself for him. Right, I lowered my eyes and glanced at the video again. That's great. I respect and wish them to be locked together forever. And my interactions with Jerry were smoother than I expected. He was 2 years older than me. We were quite similar in circumstances, and both our families knew each other well. Most importantly, in our interactions, he knew how to be respectful and responsive. He wasn't hot and cold. He always replied to messages, and he never broke plans. He knew I had just ended a long relationship and wasn't in a hurry to rush into anything. Instead, he acted like a friend, taking me out to eat, to the movies, and occasionally chatting about work and life. On New Year's Eve, I shared another group photo of the Mel family's reunion dinner. In the photo, Jerry and I are sitting side by side. Both sets of parents are seated opposite us. At the head of the table are my grandparents. The atmosphere appears harmonious and pleasant. That long unseen avatar in the list popped up with an unread message again. Alright, Sandra, you're something else. How long have you known each other? And you're already meeting the parents. You really are as clingy as ever. The cold light reflected from the screen was a little dazzling. I looked at the last words, pay to work, half a month ago. I probably would have been so upset that I wanted to cry. I never deleted Harvey. It was because I was so afraid that I would be as spineless as I was when I broke up with him before. Emotions surged back at night, causing insomnia and internal turmoil, and I couldn't stop thinking about him. But now, I've realized that his presence is truly negligible to me. That night, my best friend came to find me again. Sandra, did you delete Harvey? He's been acting crazy tonight. Chugging over a dozen bottles of wine, and Wanda couldn't even stop him. I looked indifferent. What does that have to do with me? It actually has everything to do with you. When Harvey got drunk, he was calling out your name. I heard that green tea's face turned completely green with anger. But we've already broken up. What's with all this feigned affection now? Sigh, even James and I can't figure him out. If he cared about you, why did he treat you like that before, if he didn't care? Why is he doing this now? Maybe people truly only cherish things after they've lost them. However, the next day, Harvey and Wanda got back together. Their official announcement was exceptionally high profile, as if they wanted the whole world to know. When I heard the news, I wasn't surprised. My best friend, however, was furious, cursing the dog man repeatedly. From time to time, he would relay news from over there, the source being, of course, James. I heard that the green tea girl moved into Harvey's apartment. It's hilarious. The green tea girl asked Harvey to go buy that limited edition cake from the south of the city in the middle of the night. Harvey didn't go. They had a cold war, and she moved out again. I just listened. My emotions no longer stirred. Wanda may not have realized that Harvey was no longer the young man who would buy a standing ticket overnight just to console someone. I've spoiled his temper over these 3 years, making him accustomed to being high and mighty, and Wanda also needs to be cherished and adored. Before we were together, once or twice was fine. After a long time, Harvey also lost patience. A white moonlight is only called a white moonlight when it hangs in the sky. By your side, it's just a grain of rice stuck to your bowl. And with Jerry's companionship and a busy work life, that 3-year-long period of inner turmoil and grievances is slowly being soothed. During that time, Harvey called me one early morning, but I only saw it after I woke up the next day. Whether it was out of longing or loneliness, it had nothing to do with me. Soon, time moved on to spring. When the ice melted and the snow thawed, my best friend's wedding took place as scheduled. This also meant I would see Harvey again. On the day of the rehearsal, I put on my light pink bridesmaid dress and had a simple styling done, which made me look gentle and radiant. James's friends, some of whom I didn't know, asked for my contact information. I politely declined, and when I turned around, I met Harvey's deep gaze. Sandra, he uttered the name, his voice a little hoarse and strained. Long time no see. I nodded. Long time no see. Harvey was the best man at the wedding. My best friend had asked me earlier if I minded, and I shook my head, telling her and James not to worry about me. When the ceremony began, we were required to go on stage together to hand the rings and wine glasses to the newlyweds. Inevitably, there were brief moments of standing side by side and exchanging glances. Harvey looked at me and suddenly whispered, "Do you still remember? You once said you hoped the 4 of us would have a joint wedding someday. Does this count as making your wish come true?" I paused for a moment before recalling that, a long time ago, I had indeed naively fantasized and said something like that. Walking down the aisle with your best friend, the one you love most, just thinking about it makes me happy. But Harvey and I are destined not to be. Really, I forgot. I lowered my eyes. His voice was so soft that only he could hear it. Even if we're standing together on this red carpet now, the meaning is completely different. Below the stage, Wanda's gaze was like a knife, fixed on us, especially after seeing Harvey's look at me. The smile on her face completely vanished, after exchanging rings. The bridesmaids and groomsmen needed to step aside. Wanda suddenly stood up with a wine glass, pretending to stumble. The crimson liquid in the glass splashed entirely onto the hem of my dress, spreading a large stain. Oops, my hand slipped. Her flat tone held no apology, but rather, a challenge. The surroundings instantly quieted. Harvey frowned deeply. Her best friend's expression immediately soured. I pulled her back, shaking my head, signaling that the wedding continuing was more important. After it ended, I went backstage to change. I heard Harvey questioning, his voice laced with anger. Haven't you caused enough trouble? This is James's wedding. Wanda sneered. What's the rush, Harvey? Do you care more about your brother's wedding or about her? After changing, Wanda was gone, probably having stormed off in anger. Harvey, however, was still leaning against the corridor wall, smoking irritably. Seeing me, he pursed his lips. Are you okay? I tried to walk past Harvey to leave directly, but was stopped. Sandra, can we talk this through properly? There's nothing to talk about between us, I said coldly. Please step aside. Thank you. Harvey not only didn't move aside, but took a step closer, his gaze fixed tightly on me. Do you have to treat me this way? Then how do you want me to treat you? I felt a bit amused, like before, throwing myself at you, clinging to you. That's not what I meant. Seeing that I was about to leave, Harvey grabbed my wrist firmly, with great force. Sandra, as we struggled, another slender yet strong hand pressed down on the hand Harvey was using to grab me. Jerry's voice was cold as he warned. Let her go. Harvey saw him, and his eyes instantly turned bloodshot. Is that him? Sandra, I frowned, forcefully pulling my hand free from Harvey's, and turned to look at Jerry. He was dressed in a simple shirt and trousers, looking travel-worn, and held a small gift bag in his hand. Sorry, I was delayed by something at work and arrived late. Are you okay? I nodded. It's nothing. Jerry handed me the bag. I had thought it was a wedding gift for this time, but he said, I saw it when I passed by and thought it suited you. Consider it a belated apology gift. A flicker of surprise crossed my eyes. Thank you. Jerry then looked at Harvey, his tone polite yet distant. And who might this be? Harvey's face was extremely grim. He clenched his fists, staring intently at Jerry. He then looked at me, seemingly awaiting my answer. An old friend. My tone was flat and emotionless, as if I were introducing someone inconsequential. Friend, Harvey repeated, staring into my eyes. Jerry seemed oblivious to the undercurrents between us. He naturally turned sideways, subtly positioning himself between me and Harvey, and extended his hand. Hello, Jerry, Sandra's boyfriend. He emphasized the words. Seeing the intimate way Jerry and I were together, Harvey said nothing and simply turned and left. However, to my surprise, that evening, as soon as I stepped out of the elevator, Harvey pulled me into the stairwell corner nearby. He had clearly drunk a lot tonight, and his breath, as it fell, was scalding hot. Sandra. Who allowed you to leave me? Weren't you the one who loved me the most? Why are you with him? His voice was hoarse and muffled, his downcast gaze fixed tightly on me, his eyes looking deeply wounded. I frowned, avoiding his heavy scent of alcohol. Harvey, you've had too much to drink. Go home. I'm perfectly sober. Sandra. I've never been as clear-headed as I am right now. Harvey reached out and braced his hand on the wall behind me, trapping me firmly. Tell me, do you really not like me anymore? I nodded. Instead, he clenched his fist and punched the wall. I don't believe it. Sandra, if you had truly let me go, why didn't you dare tell him who I was back then? Harvey lowered his head, leaning in close to me. He was trying to find a hint of wavering in my eyes. Why won't you admit that I'm your ex-boyfriend? I sighed, my voice cruelly calm. Because you make me look bad. The words look bad made Harvey completely freeze, as if he hadn't understood. He frowned. His handsome face so dark it looked like it could drip water. Am I that bad? Harvey pointed at the tip of his nose and asked me in a low voice. I nodded again. He didn't believe it. If you didn't like me, why did you take the initiative to pursue me back then? I spoke softly. So, I regret it. I met Harvey at a social event during my junior year of college. He stood out in the crowd, tall and thin, wearing a white hoodie, a little aloof, and a little cocky, very attractive. Harvey. I'm not saying you're not good enough. I stared into his eyes, enunciating each word. You treated me terribly. Your love also made me feel unworthy. Harvey suddenly froze. If I had known you had someone else in your heart back then, I would never have gotten involved with you. Why would you be with me when your heart isn't empty yet? If I had known sooner, I could have pulled away sooner, but it was precisely when I was already deeply involved, when my love for him was at its strongest, that I discovered this. Your photo album still has her pictures, but you won't even change your screensaver to me. You'd skip class and run away from school for her, but you always felt picking me up was a waste of time. She'd frown and you'd be incredibly anxious. I'd cry my pillow wet and you'd only find me annoying and noisy. For those 3 years, I was like a beggar pleading for affection, and you'd give a little when you were in a good mood, and kick me away when you weren't, making me repeatedly doubt what I did wrong that made me unworthy of your kindness. But now I don't think so anymore. I looked into his eyes and said clearly, Harvey, it's you who doesn't deserve my affection. Harvey's drunkenness seemed to be somewhat dispelled by these words. He stared at me blankly, his eyes swirling with an unfamiliar emotion I couldn't comprehend. His Adam's apple bobbed, and his voice was terribly hoarse. In the end, all he could manage was, I'm sorry. The hallway was silent. He looked at my calm face in the moonlight, and the belated sense of loss almost overwhelmed him. Harvey was desperately trying to salvage something. He held me tightly, ignoring my resistance. Under the influence of alcohol, he even leaned in to kiss me in a daze of passion. Sandra, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'll never treat you like that again. Forgive me. Okay, get away, Harvey. Just then, the elevator dinged. Jerry quickly stepped out, yanked Harvey away from me, and without hesitation punched him hard in the face. Get the hell away from her. Harvey was caught off guard, stumbling against the wall. His lip instantly split. He wiped it with his hand and let out a low laugh. What the hell are you? My business with her is none of your concern. Jerry's expression was as cold as frost. She's my girlfriend now. You didn't cherish her back then. So why are you acting crazy now? Damn it. Harvey clenched his fists and hit back. Jerry was not to be outdone. In the end, the hotel security was alerted and forcibly pulled them apart. I immediately went to Jerry's side, anxiously checking the wounds on his face. Jerry, are you okay? Does it hurt? I took out a tissue and carefully wiped the corner of his mouth, and Harvey, half kneeling against the wall, watched me silently, watching all my worries and anxieties being given to another man. Before, even if he just accidentally cut his hand, I would be so anxious my eyes would turn red. Frantically searching for a band-aid, blowing on it and asking if it hurt. And now, from beginning to end, I didn't spare him a glance. A belated despair and clarity finally arrived at this moment. It brutally shattered all his previous self-deception and arrogant certainty. It seemed he had truly and completely lost me. When it was time to leave, Harvey still showed up. He didn't ask again if there was still a chance for us. He just stared at me intently. Sandra, will we ever see each other again? Jerry raised an eyebrow, his words gentle yet sharp. Mr. Jerry, if Sandra and I ever get married, we might consider sending you an invitation. Now, we should go. Sitting on the plane, I watched the city gradually shrink in my view, so small that nothing could be seen. This time, it was truly over. My future would no longer bear his mark. The end.